So I go to work, and few of my friends are talking about the loss of Ratan Tata. Two of them, they're like, dude, like it doesn't matter to me. And also, that guy was not that great. Like he did a lot of bad stuff. He's a capitalist. He probably had to bribe people to reach the place where he is. And to me, it almost felt like this weird, like emptiness. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge like Ratan Tata fan or anything. It's not like I've read about everything about him and I worship him. None of that. I'm not gonna act like that person. When he left, there was this sort of like weird feeling, this sort of like spite or irritation. I don't know what it was. That's when you know a man has actually left a lasting impact. Now, before we get into this video, I just want to let you guys know that this is not like your trend hopping sort of video. For the guys that have been watching all of my previous videos and have been with me for a while, I just want you guys to know that I am not a trend hopper. For those of you that don't know what trend hopping is, it's basically when the next viral trend, like right now, Ratan Tata's name is very high on the keyword search list, and everybody that creates videos about him is gonna go viral. That's not what I believe in. I've mentioned it 101 times. It's a slow and patient game. By saying this itself, I probably lost a lot of viewers, so that should prove to you. And more than anything, it's something to prove to myself. I have always been very clear that I do not want to be a trend hopper. So this is not one of those trending videos. If you're new to this channel and you're watching this video for the first time, then just know that this is not going to be a typical trending Ratan Tata is everything. He did this sort of video. We do things a little bit differently over here. So if you enjoy it, then stick around for the rest of this video. I strongly believe Ratan Tata meant more, right? He meant more than just the money. He meant more than all of what he did for India and all of what he did for animals even. But for me, something that really struck when I really thought about it and reflected about it was how he reflected the personalities of both of my grandfathers. And I'm sure all of us can find similarities to what I'm going to say with our grandfathers. So one of my grandfather was very aggressive and very egoistic. Now, I'm sure towards the later part of his life, it might have sounded like Ratan Tata was his blissful soul. But let me tell you a story about how he showed the true power of his ego and how he really channeled his energy, which is something that is so beautiful to hear. So, in the early days of Tata, when Tata Motors was going through losses and they sort of needed to upscale and needed to get investments and all of those different things to grow and scale, Ratan Tata approached Ford, which is an American company, and he asked them, like you guys can fund us, we can do some sort of collaboration and we can help each other out over here. He spoke to them about the cars that he'd made, right? And they weren't really selling. So he pitched the idea to them. And Ford responded saying, if you don't know how to make cars, then why try? I see, this is what I love. This is what I have seen happen so much from my short experience abroad. When people meet Indians, they sort of just think that these guys are incapable, like these guys are incompetent. And a lot of times when people say stuff like this, what I've also noticed is we believe it to be true, or we just let it slide. We're like, yeah, haha, that's funny, jokes. The actual joke's on us. But here's what he did. He went ahead and built Tata Motors into such a conglomerate that he literally bought Land Rover and Jaguar, two English companies. And this is not seen to be happening a lot in India, where an Indian company is acquiring all of these foreign companies and huge companies. Jaguar is like everywhere. Like I see a Jaguar every 2 weeks probably. Not as often, but it's everywhere. And there are other instances too where he proved his ego and his aggression, similar to my grandfather. When he returned from Cornell University in the US to work in Tata, he was working in a steel plant, if I'm not wrong, and he had to sort of start from the bottom. Even though he was a Tata, even though he was the grandson of Jamshedpur Tata, who really started things and kicked things off, he was told that he would have to travel to work in bus, not in his own car. And I'm sure he had multiple of. He was told he would have to travel in bus. Now, he got butthurt about this and his ego got hurt. And instead of traveling in bus, he walked to work every day for how many ever years he worked there. Again, this is not really for the best use, but I can see my grandfather doing something like that. Now, the second thing, which reminds me of my other grandfather, who always did things the right way, whether it got him anything out of it or whether it is the right thing to do, or whether he made more money or not, he always chose to do things the right way. And this is more about the Tata family in general, not about Ratan Tata in specific. But Jamshedpur Tata sort of instilled this in the Tata brand. And it was doing the right thing without anything that benefits them or their family. So, what he did was he started the Provident Fund. Now, let me remind you, during this period, factory workers were treated like crap. I'm talking about post slavery. I'm talking about when British left India. Factory workers were literally treated and worked a lot of times until their death. He started the Provident Fund, and he also started insurance policies wherein if a worker in the factory gets injured, he probably pay for them or take care for their injuries. I don't know to what extent, but he was the one that initiated this. And the Provident Fund is basically when you retire, he wanted people to feel that loyalty from Tata brand. He wanted them to feel that you can trust. And when you're giving us something, we are giving you something in return. It's not just a one-way transaction. And the Provident Fund is basically when you retire, you get money to take care of you for the rest of your life, which is just so very beautiful. And let me remind you, these guys are not getting anything out of this. They are not getting anything out of their employees being more loyal to them. Sure, in the grander scheme of things, in the bigger picture, anybody that works for Tata today has something to say about the brand identity. They have something to say about the culture at Tata's. But in the short term, doing all of those tiny things made no difference to them. It did not make him any more richer. It did not grow his brand. It did not make him more famous. No, he just did it out of generosity and goodwill. Now, the second thing, this is more about Ratan Tata, but in 2008, when the shooting at the Taj Palace in Mumbai, if I'm not wrong, that's what the name is, which is on the coast of Mumbai near Gateway of India, when the shootings happened, he covered insurance for all of the family member was affected in the shooting. He paid them a lifetime's worth of salary for that employee to the family. And he even did this for the people that worked outside of Taj, like the people that are selling charts and stuff. If they lost their family, if they lost their lives, he covered their rest of their lives' earnings and paid it to their families. And he raised funds where he provided education for the children and did healthcare and all of these beautiful things. And again, there is no reason for him to do that. And it's not like he is doing this and posting it everywhere on Instagram or getting it put up on all news channels. Sure, people talk about it today, but I don't think so. He has gone out there throwing it in everybody's face that I did this, which again just comes back to him being the person that choose to do the right kind of thing, whether or not he's getting something out of it. And honestly, even from a leadership point of view, right, this is such a beautiful leader. He did not have to throw what he was doing in the face, a proper lead from the back sort of leader. Now, in terms of crony capitalism, which is what I was speaking about with my friends, and they said that, yeah, he's a capitalist. He's probably, he's made a lot of money. He's done all of these bribes and all of that. 66% of Tata is owned by the Tata Trust, not some Tata member of the family, not some government scheme, none of that. Tata Trust. And what is Tata Trust? Tata Trust is a fund that basically helps nonprofits, NGOs, and they themselves do a lot of things. And that should speak for itself that their whole idea is not to make money for themselves. In simple words, it's just the right kind of capitalism. It's capitalism where, yes, you make money for your self-interest, but once you do make money, you don't just spend it on yourself, but you actually give back to your community, you give back to your society. And that's exactly what I want to do with my business of getting rich and all of that. In fact, Jamshedpur Tata, who basically made India what it is, you can say in some way, because of how he created steel factories, cotton exports, and all of these different things, his main fundamental philosophy was the business will make money and that money will help India grow. And if that's not enough, TCS is the second largest employer in our country, right after the Indian Railways, which means they're not just creating and giving back to communities and their people, but they're also creating jobs. They're helping families get money. And I remember how my parents, both of them, in fact, they met in a Tata company, if I'm not wrong, but they have so many beautiful things to say about Tata. And I'm sure that helped them in their career and their path and their trajectory to do whatever they want to do and whatever they've done so far. And I wouldn't be here if not for the Tatas. Now that I think about it, that's actually kind of crazy. But yeah, now the last and the most important thing for me, at least as an individual, which is what resonates to me the most about Ratan Tata, is dogs, like his love for dogs. And there are so many stories. I'll name a few. Where one was where he was supposed to go to UK for some award that he was getting from the royal family of UK, and he like last minute backs out of it because his German Shepherd, his cutie baby German Shepherd Tango, falls sick, and he's like, I cannot come because I have to take care of him. And to be very honest, I don't see why anybody wouldn't do that. Like, in no way would I ever go anywhere if my dog was sick. I mean, I just think about it and I'm like, wow. Like, to me, it's a no brainer, but I know for a lot of people it's not. So, something to reflect upon. And recently, July 1st, 2024, he started the Tata Trust Small Animal Shelter. That is something that I believe in so strongly. And I keep telling you guys, right? Like when I have this dream, I have this vision, when I make a lot of money, I want to buy like a huge piece of land, probably a mountain, even if I could, and just somehow manage to get all or almost all the animals that are on the road into these shelters. I don't know how the logistics of it will work, but I'm sure by then we can figure out some solution of how we can make dogs more friendlier with each other and stuff, and how we can have a separate place for cows and cats and all of these different animals. Because the animals on our roads problem is something that like I so strongly believe in needs a solution. Putting tags on the collar on dogs' necks, sure, it might help to some extent, but that doesn't help the vast majority of dogs that are still very much dying on the roads. And let's not even talk about sterilizing these animals, because that's just a whole racket and like political scheme on its own. And I don't know, I just think as an individual, it's not easy to choose to give, right? A lot of us talk about give. But there are situations, right? Even when I think about like I have to donate to something or I have to be charitable or give, sometimes you question like, wait, like, should I do this? And for an individual to do as much as he's done, I think he's done more good than probably the capitalism side of things. And to some degree, I can't blame him. Like in a country like India, you probably do have to pull some strings to get things done. And that's a sad truth about our nation. But at the end of the day, what did he do with all the money he made? He chose to do good. Whether you like it or not, whether you think that money is evil, whatever you want to say, he chose to do the right thing. And he didn't do it in a way where he was throwing it in everybody's face. No. He just did it because he thought it was the right thing to do. So I really aspire to be like that someday, where, you create something so beautiful, so big, but you give back like almost all of it if you could. And if I could, it's just something to reflect upon. And yeah, it's definitely something to think. Also from a business standpoint of view, like, that guy, he took Tata from a $10 billion company to a $100 billion company, like in his lifetime. And he did all of that and he gave so much. That's really something that, I don't know, someone to look up to. It's a beautiful story and a beautiful journey. And obviously, like all journeys, it has to come to an end, just like this video. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. And again, I'm going to say this loud and clear. This isn't this isn't a trend hopping sort of video. That's not what I'm trying to create here. The Ratan Tata thing, I just thought that he's somebody that a lot of similarities or a lot of things that he believed in resonate with me, and I had to make a video with it. That's why I mentioned it in the beginning of the video. I don't care if it gets views or not, but I just had to put it out there. But that's it for this video, guys, and I hope you guys stick around for the next video. But until then, bye.